What's going on there, YouTube? It's SEL0320 representing JVS. So I'm here for a review for SuperFly. This is the remake / adaptation from the 1972 SuperFly and the follow-up SuperFly TNT that came out in 1973. Most of those actors are long gone, unfortunately, now, but got a new group led by Trevor Jackson, played by the young priest that is SuperFly. So let me give you a lineup of some of the actors in this. You got Jason Mitchell from Straight Outta Compton and Mudbound, who did a really good job in that. Michael Kenneth Williams, amazing actor. Jennifer Morrison from Once Upon a Time. Who else? These are more celebrity rappers. Big Boy, you got Rick Ross, and some notable others. But let's talk about the film as a whole. If you don't know who SuperFly was, I'm not going to go into great detail about it. But most of SuperFly's activity, or Young Priest's activities, deals in violence, drugs, distribution of drugs, language, and everything you can kind of think of on a negative standpoint. And that was back in the 70s. They take that, they put it in a little ball and give it to the generation that is now into this certain kind of methodology of what it looks like to be a gangster, what it looks like to be a dealer, a dope boy, and they just run with it. And it's like Priest in and of himself is a very smart individual, but at the same time very precise about what he knows about everybody. Thus his distribution game is even higher because of how he knows who everybody else is, what their business is, what their tails is. The very opening shot, he just kind of walks into this one club and talks to this guy. And the guy seemed like he had two bodyguards to the side, and Priest just walks up to him, talks at the bodyguard, talks to the other bodyguard, talks to him, makes him look like a simpleton, makes him look like a little kid, essentially. Because the guy kind of tried to square up on him, and he was like, "This is what you're doing. You're going to owe me and give me my money." And I was like, who is this young kid that's going to do that? And he walked in there with swagger. He walked in there without any kind of fear. So I think I give credit to Trevor Jackson for really immersing himself in embracing this perm-felt hood gangster that is really trying to get his way in the world but make it out of it in some certain extent. Now, I'll say this off the break as far as this as a film. This film is very hood. Like, it is very gangster in the sense of think Belly. Matter of fact, Director X actually directed this one. He helped co-produce Belly, as well as so many notable different music videos. And you can tell that in the stylism as far as a lot of the different moments in the clubs and a lot of different moments on just the plush life. Like, you really get a sense that these people have money. These people are just living it up, and like nobody knows of their activities and their underdealings of what they're doing, which most music videos, you can kind of tell that without seeing the real grasp of the ramifications on the outside, like what everybody else looks at and their perception of everything. And so as far as with the movie though, like, it's very violent. It is language throughout, definitely nudity, acts of violence, acts of drug distribution, drug intake, alcoholism, everything you can kind of think of is actually in this movie. Now, as far as the sexual activity, there is a sex scene. It's more inferred, implied than it is like really grotesque and in your face, but it's enough that it's too much for any young adult to actually really go and see. So I wouldn't put that anybody past 18 should go and see this at all. For the language alone, it's throughout. Matter of fact, I was kind of like out of my headspace when I came out of the movie theater. I was like, yo, this was a bit much for me personally. But everything else kind of serves pretty well from a cinematic standpoint. I think that they did a really good job as far as some of the cinematic moments. Like, cinematography standpoint, when there's a chase scene that's going on, when there's a scene where, like, for instance, Priest talks to his man Scatter. Scatter is kind of like the guy that helped bring him along, so to speak. Like, you can tell, like, there's chemistry there, not just with the actors, but the way that they actually captured the shot and the fight sequences. And I thought it was actually done really well. Even that scene where they were in a car together, I was like, I could feel the tension through the cinematography and through the way the storyboarding was for us. They did a really good job with that. My man, Jason Mitchell is such a great actor. He plays the role of Eddie. Now, I've been told, I haven't seen SuperFly in a minute, but Eddie was full tilt in the old one. In this one, he's kind of half tilt. Like, he's kind of noticeable as far as like how much he's willing to go and do things just on his own. But it kind of comes to this crossroads with Priest, and I think it's actually pretty interesting from a cinematic standpoint, just because the actor is so good. He overdoes what he's supposed to do without bringing us out, you know what I'm saying? And now in the third act, like, there's a whole bunch of foolishness as far as the fight sequence, as far as the gun battles. Some of the fight sequences really didn't make any sense. Like, some of it could have been avoided, like, oh, you could have shot this person, this could have been done. Or this situation didn't have to happen, but it's telegraphed throughout that this person is definitely going to die, this person is definitely going to pray this person is definitely going to screw up this deal. So it's going to have to play out the same exact way you expect. Even the very end is very cliche, very kind of like, oh, here we go again. This is not New Jack City. This is not the classic in the feel of Belly, but this is okay. Like, I think if you know what you're getting into based on looking at the trailers, I think you're going to know what kind of movie you're going to get. And I think you're going to get some decent performances from everybody throughout. The two lead females, the one I think is Lex Scott Davis, plays the role of Georgia. She does a really good job. It's not anything too special, but she does a really good job. She services the role pretty well. She commends the actor. So I think Jennifer Morris is the one that actually surprised me most. I'm not gonna say what her role is, but I was like, yo, I've seen you go a certain way in Once Upon a Time, but like, you're kind of like a fish out of water, but you just go full tilt. And I'm like, why? Whose decision was this? But again, like, you have to know what this is going into it. And I would recommend going and looking at the trailer, seeing if this is your kind of vibe. I left it feeling like, man, I've been in the club for like 2.5 hours or 2 hours plus. And like, I just feel kind of like, not overwhelmed, but you just feel like kind of dried out, so to speak. And I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing for my spirit personally. And so for me, it kind of wasn't something that I needed to continue to watch, or I'd want to really watch again. Maybe like later on down the line, if it's on TBS or something like that, I would watch it. But I think that they do a really decent job servicing who the characters were without recounting everything from what the 1972 and 1973 versions were. Now, those people that did think those movies were classics probably will have an issue with some of the notable things that they do in this movie, and some of the stuff that's just telegraphed. It's like, man, this is stupid. I can't believe they're doing this. Because some things just don't work that were in the 70s to now. It just doesn't translate well. And I think that they honestly could have went a lot darker as far as some of the gore and some of the violence and some of the nudity. But they do have a limit. Like, there is like a little bar here that you can tell, like, they're hitting it, but they're not going but too far. And I think that that's the betterment of this this film, in my personal opinion. So if I had to give it a review number, I'd probably go between 5.5, 6 out of 10. It was serviceable. I don't think it was anything really bad, but I don't think it was a classic. But I think it's something that if you know what you're getting into and you know how hood it is, you know how the lifestyle really is, then you can be okay with knowing that and being able to watch it. And some people might really gravitate and actually like it. I know a couple people that are probably really going to like this film. It just wasn't my cup of tea, but I also judge this critically all around. Like, I've given you all precipice, I've given you all the story, and the way that I look at it from a film standpoint, and I think it was serviceable. I think it's something you could definitely go and watch and be entertained by, but I think it maybe goes too full tilt that it just won't reach a broad demographic of people. But there's some people that really actually enjoy it. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you are a part of Stardust, definitely go to Stardust. Go to the description bar below. It's like 30 seconds. You can leave me your thoughts on this movie. And make sure you tag us at JVS so I'll know what you think. And maybe I'll comment back. Okay? Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Got a lot more reactions, reviews coming. Peace, guys.